Good afternoon, Alun Evans. How are you?
I'm very well, Mr. Hargrave. How are you?
Good. You're second on. I'm really good. You're second on the list for my Talk Badminton series, which is
Cool.
gaining some momentum for sure. So it's interesting to see
It'll be very
a new
interesting to hear
face.
everybody else's past and history as we go through the next few weeks, I'm sure.
Few moments. It's quite interesting. You'll find a few things. I think that was the idea. I came up with the idea really to, when you think about your life of playing badminton, the histories and the people that you've played with and why you got into it, it makes you question a lot of things. So
Mhm.
I'll dive right into it. So your full name?
Alan Robert Evans.
Robert Evans. Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a middle name. Was there any reference to that?
My grandfather on my mum's side.
Oh, well, wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your age?
48.
Oh, yeah. And where would you class as your home area? Where is that?
Born and raised in Midlothian, of 19 years now.
Bonnyrigg. Is that where you're from?
Edinburgh.
Originally, that's where you're from. Is it Bonnyrigg,
No,
Midlothian?
no, no. I'm originally from the centre of Edinburgh, but Susan and I left there after we got married and bought our first home together in East Bank. Then Jennifer came along, and we needed to move to a bigger house, and we moved up
So
the road to Bonnyrigg. So,
going back in time, thinking about your
uh-huh,
history,
uh-huh.
from a very young age, before you played badminton, where were you?
We were in Liberton in Edinburgh.
That's where in Liberton.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
can you remember what your kind of and your brothers? So that's your kind of your home area. That's cool. And then so I'm just kind of focusing at the moment on the history, like from where you before you even played badminton. Brothers and
Uh-huh.
sisters.
No, only child.
Your only child.
Yeah.
That's good. And what can you remember what age you were when you very first played a game of badminton?
When I first had a racket in my hand, I was 7. My father was a coach. He'd been a badminton player for most of his days, and he'd got his coach's qualification at Largs all those many years ago. So we got playing. I was around about the age of 7, and my first racket was from a toy shop in Salisbury.
Was it? Do you remember
Yeah.
what it was?
Oh no, I mean it was just a toy racket, a couple of toy rackets with
At
a rubber
seven.
ended a rubber ended shuttle, which my father then changed straight away for a nylon Carlton plastic piece of work, and we just started hitting in the back garden that year.
You say we. Are you talking about you and
My
your
dad and
dad?
I, my dad and I, yeah, yeah. My mum and dad met at the my dad's badminton club
Really?
as well.
She played as
So
well.
she did, yeah, yeah. She stopped playing when I was about 14 or so.
So what year was that then? When you started, what year was that? When you were 7, what year was
1980,
it? 19,
1980.
1980. Wow, yeah.
80, 80, 1980.
80.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he got his coaching qualifications in Largs, did he say?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what age he was, but it was certainly a good bit before I was born.
Quite a long time ago, for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then so from when you picked up your racket at 7, where did you play? Where did you go to play at that time?
I think from memory, it was a combination of Craig Lockhart Sports Centre and the old Lasswade High School Centre. But I did most of my playing at school in the old the primary school building at George Watson's College. The old assembly hall, which is very small and very low ceiling, was the
So
venue for the badminton
did you go
club.
straight? So were you that at that school? At what age did you start that? Were you that was that 7? Were you there from right through from 7?
I started from P1, so I was just before my fifth birthday, 1977. Yeah.
And was there a lot of players of badminton in the school? Do you remember there being a lot of players around you? Is there anybody now, for example, that you know that played there?
There's one or two, yes. One or two. They're not in Edinburgh anymore, but
Uh,
the ones I keep in touch with, I still think play a little bit.
yeah, wow. And then, so when do you think? So you played at 7, and how often did you play?
Probably, I think it was once a week for school, and then once a week with my mum and dad at the weekend.
And was he? Do you think your dad was a motivation? Was it spending time with your dad that made you want to play at that time?
I think I was just naturally sporty, to be honest, because it was a similar time where I got into golf as well, and I think as I've done with my children, golf and badminton have
I
become
know,
well, certainly Andrew's main sports.
I know.
So yeah, because I was an only child, we would normally take a friend along, and I would have a hit with my dad, and then a hit with my mum. I'd practice things like low serves and certain techniques with my dad.
Serves and things.
Yeah, and then and it was all forehand serves in those days, man. And then if there was a spare court, my mum would take me on to the other court and make me run about like mad, just to try and get me to keep moving my feet. I remember that really clearly.
What age was that? What age were you then when you remember that?
Probably 8 or 9, to be honest. Yeah, probably about 8 or 9. The toy racket didn't last very long. So my first proper racket was a Slazenger Jillian Jilks. Probably weighed more than the modern tennis racket, I would say.
So do you think that you were like a bit of a punch bag for your dad? Like he was learning how to be a coach and he was coming back with all of that knowledge and using on you? Or
no, I don't think my father ever really did coaching in the full capacity of taking a sort of regular club or class or what have you. But certainly he was a good teacher, because he's quite.
So why did he go? What was his profession? What did he do for work, your dad?
Civil servant.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
it was just the interest that took him to Laos, was it? It was just a hobbyist thing. It wasn't about.
I would say so. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was a decent player. I mean, he was good, and it was certainly very good for me to play against, because when I did play against him, it was really a case of, can I beat my dad?
Yeah, really.
And it took me a long time, to enable me to to get over the line. It was
How many years did you play against him?
Probably 4 or 5, something like that.
Did you?
Yeah, and I remember beating him for the very first time when we were on holiday down south. And I think it was 13 or 14, and he didn't take too kindly to it.
And by that time, had somebody else outside of your dad kind of noticed your abilities at all and thought this guy could be really good? Or was it you that drove it? Or did you just say, Dad, I really like it, can I go get coaching? Or what happened? How did you get into it, like, properly?
I think I just went through school, certainly.
What's that?
I played in the primary team, and then I played went straight to the club in senior school, and there were some very good players, much further up the school, where you get really
in George Watson's again.
Absolutely, yeah, some very, very good players, older players, where you weren't going to win, but it was great competition, and great regular games Friday afternoon after school.
Were they mostly older than you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, 2, 3, 4 years older than I was. So that then kind of led into the Edinburgh Schools Tournament and the Lothian Schools Tournament. And those were the only 2 tournaments I regularly played in. I didn't know there was tournaments outside of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And then I think I played in the Scottish Schools once or twice as well.
When you went to that Lothian Schools one, would they be up to like 17-year-old, I guess, high school age, is it? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Playing at 13 up against 17-year-olds and stuff like that, was it? Or
I think it was probably still age groups. I think it was probably under 14, under 15 at that point. So I just remember, being way out my depth on regular occasions. There was many good players. Martin Spears, Simon Cowper, Lee Robertson were the 3 really good guys. Stuart Hamilton, Amanda's elder brother. These guys were, right at the top of their tree. They were fantastic players. Lee was a fantastic player, but decided to commit his future to football, playing for Rangers as a schoolboy, and that was really my main competition, as a teenager.
And those people at school, were they going away somewhere else to get coaching that you were missing out on, or were they just playing against peers?
The only coaching that was really sort of readily available was being noticed by Douglas Walker, for the Lothian Schools team. Shall we say, I went away down south to York when I was 16 with the Lothian team. So I think the training was once a month at Meadowbank with Douglas and all the other guys. So I got invited into that. And playing against these guys who I mentioned, they were absolutely phenomenal players, significantly better than I was. I'm not sure that many of them play. Martin came back to the sport a few years ago, and he appeared playing for Western, and it was great to see an old face again.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Sorry, I'm going off piste here with my question. Brothers and sisters, age when you first played, Why did you start playing? I've got that. Do you remember your first racket? You've got that. That's nice. What was the name of your name of the first club? And the hole, you said the hole was very, very low. Was it a lot of driving shots with not much height? You had to watch the ceiling. I used to play in a hall where you had to watch the beams. In fact, with a single serve, you had to literally go over the top of a beam. And if you were lucky, and I remember my brother shouting, "You hit the beam!" No, I never. Didn't touch it. Oh, I did.
Yeah, we didn't have beams. It was just a very low ceiling, so the high serve and singles wasn't very high.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Okay, so that was Last Wade High School. Was that the Last Wade High School? And George, it was George Watson's. You said that school.
It was George Watson's where we played the moving into the secondary school. It was the main assembly hall for first and second year, and it was a big huge hall.
Do you remember the shuttles you used? First of all, like in that club, the nylon Carlton probably.
Probably yes. I think
Mavis 300 was the one.
I don't even think they were Onyx. I think it was all Carlton in those days. I think they kind Carlton, of dominated the sport in terms of gear and equipment.
Yeah, were you coached? I've got that. Do you remember Do you remember your first tournament and trophy?
My first trophy was winning the Edinburgh Schools competition. But that's only because other players better than me hadn't entered. I would say was the only reason.
I think you're maybe doing yourself an injustice there.
No, believe you me, I'm not what I'm talking about. The calibre of these players. As I said, the first tournament was probably the Edinburgh, the Lothian schools. They were the only tournaments I played in, and you would qualify for the Scottish schools through. Winning them. Played singles and doubles generally. I played mixed for the school team.
Question. Yeah, you must be looking at my sheet.
No, sorry. I'm stealing your thunder here.
Singles. What was your favorite event? Singles or doubles or mixed? Singles, you said. Do you think?
No. I hated singles. I think certainly after I joined Nomads at 16 when we played out at Castlebrae. And it was all doubles and mixed at that point. But then I joined I played doubles and mixed in the Edinburgh leagues, which there was also the Works League in those days as well, which you used feather shuttles in the Lothian League for Nomads, and then the Works League was JK Jets, JK being Jack Kane, because that's where it started. I believe, and you used plastic shuttles in that league, and you would play. I can't remember. You would play one doubles and two mixed, or one mixed and two doubles, but it petered out just through sort of lack of numbers.
Who was your partners? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I had.
You always tell me you played with Carolyn Young quite a lot. Was that?
Yeah, our partnership was formed in the Churches League when I joined Northleith. In 1999, and I think we had probably best part of 15 or 16 years playing together. It was a fantastic time. Callan was a fantastic partner, reliable.
Back to the teenage years, did you have a partner then? Sorry.
Yeah, just one of my best mates at school.
Who's that?
A chap called Sandy McKenzie. Sandy's overseas. He's been overseas for quite a while now. I'm not sure if he still plays.
No, well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Good. Well, that's the history. Next question was, what clubs you're playing now? And I know the answer to myself, but what clubs you play now, and how often do you play?
I've kind of floated between Nomads. I was 23 years at Nomads before joining North Morningside for a change of scenery as much as anything, and certainly in the last 4 or 5 years, there doesn't seem to be the same need to be playing at the same club all the time. So sometimes I go to North Morningside, sometimes I go to Nomads, just depending on what sort of family circumstances.
Obviously, present situation. Consider present situation. There's not much of anything going on.
And I've played for Julian Si's team. It was originally City, but is now Crags. So I joined them.
That's a popular club for sure.
Yeah, 5 years ago now, I think.
Is that how long has that been going now? Do you think that is that 5 years it's been going, that club?
I think so. Thereabouts, yeah. I think this might be its 6th year, but yeah, I think it was about 5 years. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
What's your favourite racket? Current.
I've been using my Victor Brave Swords for about 6 years now, but I'm currently looking to change that. I'm very loyal to the Victor brand, as many would know, and I've tried a number of rackets over the last few years, and still feel that the Brave Sword is, although it's quite old technology now, it really just suited my game. But
you like
yeah,
Mel Gibson. You like Mel Gibson.
there's one or two rackets I'm waiting to demo, but I don't know when I'm going to get to that.
What's the model number of the Brave Sword you have?
It's the Leong Day. It's just called Brave Sword LID Leong Day because it was his signature racket about 5 or 6 years ago.
Cool. The next question was about family. I guess how, I know the answer to this question, but how do you manage family life and badminton?
We've been fortunate from that perspective because both Andrew and Jennifer have been very keen. Andrew kind of really drifted away from the game about 2 years ago, but has latterly come back to it. After the first lockdown, we started to slowly come back into it, and it was clear. It was great to see him back playing again. It didn't take him long to really get going again. He's hoping to start university later this year, so hoping that'll be a good way into.
Where is he going to? Is he going to a university with good badminton? Can you tell me where it is? Do you know?
Well, his top choice is Coventry University. So Warwickshire, is a very strong county as well. So he'll get some fantastic, high level badminton there, and I'm hoping that he really enjoys it and gets into some good teams.
Have you ever heard the expression "getting taken to Coventry"? Have you heard of that?
Well, thankfully.
Have you heard of it? Getting sent to
absolutely, yeah.
You're literally sending Andrew to Coventry. Very good.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah. Might shut him up.
I know Jennifer's really, really keen as well. That's great, and the two of them are great. Yeah.
Yeah. She started to come down to North Morningside, but she's also been a part-time coach at the Edinburgh Badminton Academy, which she's really, really enjoyed. And I think she's more passionate about coaching now, particularly the younger ones.
Is she? Yeah. Is she doing her badges and things as well for coaching? Has that happened? Is she doing it? Or
she's done. She's level 1+ qualified now. She managed to get that 2 or 3 weeks before lockdown, so she's at the same level as I am, and I'm not sure there would be much need for her to do any more. But she loves the coach.
Yeah. Has she ever been to any? Have either of the kids ever been to these? I was talking to Colin yesterday about badminton camps. Have they ever been to residential? Back in the day, they used to have kind of a week summer holiday residential badminton camps. I always wanted to go to one. I never got to go to one, but I always wanted to.
Yeah. Andrew went to the original residential camp at Largs. And Inverclyde Largs, is it? I think he was due to go the following year, but they cancelled it because there was significant renovation going on. And the weekend there with his pals from the squad, and he really, really enjoyed it. So he said it was unbelievably hard, but he really, really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, it was the Cunninghams, both senior and junior, and one or two others that really, really pushed them hard. But he had a ball because he had his mates with him. So I think from his perspective, and certainly I feel that now that at the age of 48, it's a fantastic game, for mental and physical health. But I think it's a very very good social part of life now as well. Yeah.
Well, that comes on to I suppose that's kind of, I've covered quite a lot. How do you manage family life? What's your favourite event now? It's probably doubles, isn't it?
Mixed, absolutely. Mix has been my favourite for years now. Yeah.
Is it? Do you still feel as competitive now? Do you think as ever? Do you think you get more competitive now? I've seen you lose it, but do you do you feel as competitive now as you did as ever? Really?
I was very competitive as a youngster, certainly, and I would certainly have said in the last number of years I've been much less competitive. Certainly find losing. It's part of the game. As I've said to both the children, you've got to learn to lose before you can, learn to win. And I love the social aspect. I love the fact that we're now, I feel in the last couple of years, we've, as a group, we've become much closer. The social aspect is probably slightly overtaken the competitive issue. I think we're socially competitive, but the competition side is important, but it's not as important as the.
I think the game has really opened up, especially in Edinburgh. It seems to be a lot wider spread, and I don't think there's quite so much of a kind of I'm in that club and I'm in that club, and if you want a game on a Monday,
I totally agree.
If I want to go on a Monday night, I can go there. If I want to go on a Tuesday night, I can go there. If I want to go on Thursday, I can go there.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think that's been hugely important as well. You get to see more people playing at different clubs. You get lots of good competition, in different games and different levels, and it's just all good fun now for me. That's the most important thing. Staying fit and healthy and trying to stay injury free.
Well, that's exactly right. Well, thank you, Mr. Evans. Time's up. That's
all right.
Time's up. We're done. Questions are all done. So thank you very much. My second, you're all done. That's all good.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Martin.
Anything else? I think we've covered it. One of my last questions is, what do you love about badminton? I think you've covered it, to be honest. So that's great. It's it's for everybody. I think it's very sociable, and it's great exercise as well, isn't it? And it's just I love the fact it's open. I said the same last night. It's open. Edinburgh especially there's such a wide community, and people come, and if you come to Edinburgh for a weekend, you bring your racket and you find a club and you can go. And
I have to say, I've said to a few people that I think for me, the last, well, obviously not 2020, but certainly 2019 and 2018, the work that you did in the summer clubs, extending a wide open invitation to just about everybody that plays. Brought a lot of people together, and I think it brought a lot of people back into playing the game, on a regular basis during the season as well. So I think
thank you.
I think what you did has been absolutely brilliant for the game locally.
Thank you. I wish my abilities were as good as my enthusiasm. I wish if I was as good as the way I'm enthusiastic, I would be the best in the world. I'll be with playing Lee Chong Wei. I'll be. However,
you think?
Definitely. Thank you very much. Okay, I can stop recording. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, Matty.
Thank you.
All the best. Cheers.